Hello everyone, and welcome to my latest archetype tier list video, where I place every card in a given archetype into the 4 categories that you see on the screen. In this video, I'll be tiering every card from the Nekroz archetype. For anyone that doesn't know, Nekroz are a ritual-based deck that primarily focus on stopping anyone from using the extra deck properly with cards like Unicorn and Brainak. They also have more generic interruptions like Trishula and Gungnir. Deciding on this list is a bit harder than the last 2 archetypes I covered, as there are a lot of variants of Nekroz mixed in with other archetypes like Dogmatica or Bestial that are going around, so I've tried to take all uses into consideration, but I am mainly looking at the deck from a more pure perspective. To kick things off, we have Nekroz of Sophia. This is a very powerful card when considering her effects, but she is really awkward to summon, very resource intensive, she requires 4 other cards in your hand to summon, and very easy to just simply negate. If you want to summon her, it has to almost always be the first thing you do on your turn, but that means your opponent will almost always have an answer, and if your opponent doesn't have an answer, then you should just use the other cards in your hand and do something else that will cost you less and you'll probably still win. Her discard effect is nice when you first read it, but then you realise that you need to also discard a Nekroz spell, which is always a ritual spell, and modern builds don't usually run more than 4 of those. So I'd actually put her in the worst category possible, definitely not. And yeah, she also has to be summoned from hand, which means you can't use Nekroz Cycle to summon her from grave, and also you can't use Shuret to summon her to make it easy, because it specifies it has to be 3 monsters in hand, and that it can't be summoned in any other way. Next we've got Aredver, I think that's how you pronounce it. I wouldn't run him at more than 1. His on-field effect is okay. Unicorn sort of does the same thing without negging, but the banish is nice. I'd put him in the B tier category. His hand effect is only good if you run a lot of non-ritual Nekroz monsters, but you really shouldn't be doing that. Next on our list is Nekroz of Decisive Armor. He discards himself to give a Nekroz monster 1000 attack, and on field he can target a set card and destroy it, then banish it. This effect is way too slow to be of any use, and his hand effect is outclassed by both Valkyris and Gungnir in terms of protection. So he's not as bad as Sophia, but he's definitely not as good as Aredver, so I'll put him down there. Next on our list is Nekroz of Trishula. It's been power crept a lot when considering both effects and how awkward he can be to summon, but resolving his effect usually still wins you the game. But in terms of his hand effect, trading 1 for 1 for targeting effects is rarely worth it, but you're usually using it to protect Unicorn, so he is your best option for stopping targeting effects, and I'd put him in the deathly category. Nekroz have to get a lot of support for Trishula to no longer be in the top category for the deck. Next we're on to Valkyris. Valkyris has one job: protect Unicorn from battle, which is less relevant these days with so much generic removal running around before the battle phase, but he at least can buy you an extra turn to survive with the skin of your teeth. His on-field effect Mulligan is okay. It gets better if you use cards like the Incantations, for example. I wouldn't say that he's that good of a card, but lists running him at 1-2 are a common sight, and I think he is kind of in the high end of the maybe category. Next we have Gungnir. His discard effect is nice because, unlike Valkyris, he helps your Unicorn dodge things like Raigeki. I usually play him as a 1 of though, so I can search him if needed depending on the matchup. His on-field effect to pop is decent too, as it is very flexible, and Nekroz really lack quick effects that can get rid of back row, for example, and just kind of anything on the field. I honestly prefer Gungnir to Valkyris for protecting Unicorn, as he covers more bases at the cost of a few extra life points essentially. So he goes in the same category I think as Valkyris, but he is, I think, slightly better. Up next is Brainak, and I don't think any of you are doubting where this guy's going to go. This is basically any other Nekroz card, so he's an automatic 3 of, and the best Nekroz card in my opinion. His on-field effect is even more relevant now in a format that has tier elements where they like to go to grave, so sending them back into the extra deck so they can't fuse with them is actually very good. So yeah, he goes straight into the top category. Nekroz of Catastor, he's on the high end of, I'd probably put him in the maybe not category, but he's not as bad as Decisive Armor. His effect in hand isn't great because you can only summon the non-ritual Nekroz cards. His on-field effect is okay, but it is outclassed by Brainak, and you can never really make optimal use of his effect because board swarming isn't something that Nekroz is famous for. Onto another famous Nekroz card, we've got Unicorn. This is the win condition when going first, and the way to hold out for a win after breaking a board. His discard effect to add back a Nekroz from grave is amazing as well, because it basically, if you've gone through your whole deck and you've got every other Nekroz card in your grave, you can use Unicorn to become any one of those cards again. Being level 4 lets you utilise Elder Entity Intis and Herald of the Arclight when combined with Kaleidoscope, He's such a powerful and versatile card that he is an automatic 3 of in every Nekroz build. Lastly, for the ritual monsters, we have Nekroz of Colossus. This searches you any Nekroz spell or trap, and on field negates an extra deck monster while also making its attack 0. He's not usually run at 3 due to being so searchable, but he's still a vital part of the strategy. Note that because his hand effect says any Nekroz spell or trap, that we might be getting some sort of Nekroz support in future sets. We'll see. But yeah, he definitely goes into the deathly category. Now for the non-ritual Nekroz monsters, this is going to be a very fun run. So to start off, we've got Exa. He is a level 5 monster that you will never summon because that would be entirely pointless. If tributed, he adds a Dragon Nekroz ritual monster from deck to hand. The problem there is that all of the dragons are bad, and if he is banished, you can special summon any Nekroz from your banished pile. This effect is clearly designed to work with the ritual spells in mind, but getting the most out of both effects is difficult. What you need is to have played a turn and essentially had your board wrecked to use the spell engrave, and you have to have somehow already banished a monster worth bringing back with him. He is easily going into the worst category. Continuing the line of really bad Nekroz monsters, we've got Zefraxa. He is a special summon from hand or grave when a Nekroz monster is destroyed. Nekroz have no way of destroying their own cards, except maybe with Entis. I can't remember if you can target your own cards with that. So this card will only ever really be used as battle protection, which isn't good and hasn't been good in Yu-Gi-Oh! For over 10 years. Next up, we've got Dance Princess. I put her just in the C tier, I think, but only because putting her with the likes of Zefraxa just seems wrong. Whilst on field, your Nekroz ritual spell activations can't be responded to, and your Nekroz ritual monsters can't be targeted by your opponent. When tributed, she adds any banished Nekroz monster back to hand. The first effect seems nice, but no one ever wants to negate the spell anyway, as negating the monster is usually better as it drains more resources from your opponent. I don't think she is a bad card, she just doesn't do it enough to justify being played in my opinion. Up next we have Ariel. This is just a worse version of Shuret and to some extent Bryanak in one card, so no need to run her considering how accessible the aforementioned two are. She is in the definitely not. Great Sorcerer. There is nothing great about this old man. He adds a spellcaster Nekroz ritual monster when tributed, and if tributed, he sends a Nekroz monster from deck to grave. This effect is here to help utilize the banish effects of the other non-ritual Nekroz cards, but it's really slow and doesn't honestly provide that much payoff when you see how underwhelming the effects he enables are, so he is going into the bottom category as well. The last of the level 4s is Zephyr Saber, possibly the card that inspired Megaliths. He contributes himself from hand or field to act as a ritual spell. If he had another relevant effect, he would be close to crawling up to C, but his effect is just not really necessary for the deck. When I played the deck, when Imperial Order and Anti-Spell were absolutely rampant, and I considered running Zephyr Saber, but I didn't in the end, and neither did anyone else, so that just about says all you need to know about the card, and why would you ever Pendulum Summon in a Nekroz deck? The last Nekroz monster is Nekroz of Shuret. He can count as a full requirement for any Nekroz ritual summon, and if tributed, adds a Warrior Nekroz ritual from deck to hand. His first effect helps fix the clunky requirement of matching correct levels in the deck, and his second helps the deck not go neg1 when ritual summoning. He's got amazing utility, should definitely run at least one of these guys, maybe more. But yeah, he is going up into the top category. Onto the ritual spells, we're starting off with Nekroz Cycle. This lets you ritual summon from hand or grave, which is nice because it lets you use the search effect of a Nekroz ritual monster and then bring it back straight away. It's not insanely powerful, but it does synergize very well with the deck considering the effects that your monsters have, so this definitely goes into the top category here. Then we've got Nekroz Kaleidoscope. I'd say this is the best ritual spell for the deck. It is almost always used to summon Unicorn by sending Herald of the Arclight or Elder Ancientis, which gives you a lot of flexibility, but you could also send, for example, a level 12 monster from the extra deck to the grave, and you could ritual summon a Valkyrus and a Unicorn, for example. So you can actually ritual summon more than one monster with this, which means you can plus so well and actually try and put a lot of pressure on the board. So this is the best spell, I'd say, and easily goes into the A category. And then we've got Nekroz Mirror. This is the worst of the Nekroz ritual spells, I think, but it sort of creates a complete loop in terms of using the deck's resources, as you can summon from hand by banishing materials from your grave with this one. What makes this the worst ritual spell is that it is always a neg 1. Cycle can be neutral if using Shuret, and Kaleidoscope sends either Arclight or Untis, and it very often requires you to resolve Cycle first for you to have the right materials in grave anyway. I should add that all three ritual spells also let you banish them, and a Nekroz monster from grave if you control no monsters, and you get to add a Nekroz spell from deck to hand. But yeah, Mirror is the worst of the lot, but you do see it run at 1 in quite a lot of builds, so I'd put it in the B tier category. And until Konami finally gives this archetype the spells and traps it has suggested it will make through current card text, that was the last of the Nekroz cards that can be added to this list. I really do hope this archetype does get some support soon, because it is a really rewarding deck to play due to the player requiring a high skill level to pilot it effectively. So it just feels really good when you win, because you know you didn't win because your deck was broken, you knew you won because you made the right choices. And it just feels like really on theme for the ritual mechanic. I have a few archetypes in mind for covering next, but if anyone has suggestions, I am all ears. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day.